When I was on death row, I was allowed to have one visitor a week for 3 hours a day. Otherwise, I was in solitary confinement. By the time I got out, I was in solitary confinement for 24 hours a day, with the exception of once a week, someone was allowed to come see me. That was pretty much the only time I ever even put on shoes. I figured, why bother? I'm not going anywhere. One day, whenever my wife came to visit me, I can remember sitting on the edge of my bunk and reaching over and putting my shoes on. And it was like a bomb went off in my head. I realized, oh my God, I am actually experiencing the present moment for the first time in my entire life. I'm not thinking about the past. I'm not thinking about the future. I'm not mulling over abstract concepts. I'm not experiencing anxiety or depression. I am just putting on my shoe. Of course, the second I realized that, it shattered, and you're right back to conceptual thinking. But even if it was only for one split second, I had actually experienced firsthand what I had been trying to experience from Zen for all those years and had never quite reached, never experienced. So I'd reached this place where I thought maybe all religion is like Christianity. Maybe all of it is just about what you believe. Maybe it's about hoping for things and having faith in things and believing in things. At that moment, I realized magic is not about that at all. Magic works whether you believe in it or not. Someone that I learned a lot from told me that traditionally, also in magical orders, this is one of the reasons why we are so careful about who we teach some of these higher practices to, because these things work whether you are a psychopath or a saint. It's like any other science. If you do certain things, you get certain results. And that's part of what I'm wanting to pass on here. You'll hear me refer over and over during the course of this program about something I'm calling spiritual sustenance. Our aura, most people when they think of the aura, think of it as extending maybe 6 feet away from the body, when in actuality, it extends probably about 50 feet around your body in all directions. But as you go outwards, it gets more and more ethereal. As you come inwards, it becomes more and more dense. Whenever you're doing a ritual like the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram, or even the lesser invoking ritual, or any invoking ritual where you're invoking angels, keep in mind that even though you are using breath work and visualization to see this angel expand in front of you, and you're trying to make it as vivid and as dense and as bright as you can possibly make it, and it seems very much like you are doing something external to yourself because it's something outside of your body, keep in mind that you are still doing it inside your aura, because if your aura extends 50 feet away, then this angel that you have just invoked, even though you perceive it as being outside your physical body, is still very much internal because it is inside your energy system. So this is one of the reasons also that we are one of the things we want to do is train ourselves to keep our minds, as much as we possibly can, focused on things that raise our vibration, that lift us up. And this does not necessarily mean what people call spiritual bypassing, where we just refuse to deal with anything negative. That's not what I mean at all. But what I am pointing to is your thoughts will determine the direction of your life. To an incredibly large degree. What you find yourself focusing on the most will determine what direction your life takes, whether you move forward, whether you make progress, whether you're making advances, or whether you start to stagnate, degenerate, give into more and more fear. If you've noticed, the more things you find to think about that you're scared of, the more things you will continue to find that you're scared of. Every single thought that we have creates what's called a thought form. It is a shape that is sort of stamped into the astral or etheric level of reality. We're breathing, we're visualizing things, we're thinking about things, we're putting energy into what we're thinking about. When I would do classes, beginning classes, I would always tell people, like, this is why they tell race car drivers when they're training people to drive race cars, they say, don't look at the wall. Either look at your instrument panel or look at the other cars on the track, because if you stare at the wall, eventually you're going to drive into it. This is because your life is going to move in the direction that you focus your energy on. Every single thought that you have is you injecting energy of some kind into your aura and into what will eventually manifest as the physical world that you experience. The more you focus, you can't fight fear. You can't fight negativity. These are not things that you can battle against and deliberately force out of your life or force out of your head. I have a lot of people say, whenever they're meditating, they still have thoughts come into their mind. Well, some forms of meditation, you are meant to think, but you are meant to train your thinking to be able to stay focused on what you want it to stay focused on, not to drag you behind it like a horse that's dragging a rider that's fallen off of it. So you want to train your mind to take you in the direction that you want your life to follow. You surround yourself with things that inspire you, that motivate you, that fill you with whatever sensations, emotions, and energy you are wanting to have in your life, instead of dwelling on things that fill you with despair or fear. Because if you focus on those things, then that's the path your life is going to take. One of the things you're trying to do whenever you're doing magic is you are literally trying to crystallize your aura. Like most people, they think that everybody just lives forever whenever you die. Like either we go to heaven or we go to hell or we just get reincarnated over and over. This is not what pretty much any of these traditions teach. For example, the Buddha, he said at one point that achieving a human birth, being born into a physical body, he described how rare this phenomena or this process is. He said, imagine if you had a turtle in the ocean, and this turtle rose up to the top of the ocean and took a breath of air, and then sank back down to the very bottom of the ocean floor and went to sleep for 100 years. In 100 years, this turtle wakes up and starts swimming back towards the surface of the ocean to take another breath of air. The Buddha said that your chances of obtaining a human birth are as rare as that turtle exiting the ocean in the exact same place the second time that it did in the first time. What happens most of the time if we haven't accumulated energy or learned any sort of energetic processes, how to move energy, how to get rid of energy, how to take in energy? What happens a lot of times after we die, whenever you die and your physical body disintegrates and goes and becomes part of the earth again, dissolves into the elemental realm of earth, and it becomes dirt, it becomes sustenance, nutrients for the physical world. Your energetic body will do the exact same thing. It will go through what we call the second death in Magick. During the second death, what happens is after the physical body dies, and this will take longer periods of time for some people, shorter periods of time for some people. A lot of it can depend on things like what state and condition your energetic body was in whenever you died. Were you really young and healthy, and was it a sudden death? Like if you're young and healthy and you just get hit by a car all of a sudden and die, your energy system is still really intact, really strong. So it's going to take longer for it to go through the second death than someone who is, say, 90 years old and they've been in a steady state of declining health for several years and they gradually just sort of peter out and die. Their energy system, whenever the physical body dies, is going to be really weak. So it will disintegrate relatively rapidly. They'll go through the second death pretty quickly. One of the things you're trying to accomplish when you're doing magic is the crystallization of your aura, so that after the physical body dies, you do not experience the second death. You have created a vehicle. Now, this vehicle has different names in different traditions throughout the world. It is usually considered the highest and usually most guarded practices and traditions, no matter what genre or whether you're looking at something in the East or the West or whatever it is. For example, in Tibetan Buddhism, they call it the rainbow body practice. The ultimate thing that you are wanting to gain control of your aura for is not parlor tricks or not even, health, but you are looking to survive the process of death. You are creating a vehicle that will provide a home for your consciousness after the death of the physical body, so that you can go on continuing to exist on all these different other levels of reality.